Okay, I'm just going to wait for this room to start filling up. I hope you can see me. I hope the sound is okay. I'm just going to load up my Facebook page here so I can see your comments. Let's see, is it possible for me to even do this? Let's try. Incorrect password. Brilliant. For those of you who are joining now, hit the share button. I'm going to be walking you through a couple of the latest updates about Tommy Robinson. I just got off the phone with his family who saw him today. So we'll talk about some of that, and I know you guys have questions and you want to do stuff, and I want to help with as much of that as possible. As you probably know, there's ongoing appeals and so forth. So it's not like he's just sitting there rotting at the moment, but it's also not the greatest situation as far as his family tell me today. Oh good, I've managed to log in here. Alright, forgive my disheveledness, would you? Right, now I can turn this down. Right, okay, so yes, I'm wearing shorts as well for probably the first time ever, but it's very, very hot here. Alright, so what time is it over there? I can't even look at my phone. I don't know what time it is. I don't know what time it is here. Hi Jerome, hi Jerry, hi Todd, hi Sharon, Martin, Pete, Del. Just share this. I realise that some of you who are more tech savvy than I am will grab this video after I'm done and upload it to YouTube and all that, so have at it. Lovely knees, says Jay. Thank you. Not so lovely slippers, if you see that. Alright, so the first thing is that I wanted to talk to you guys about is that I just got off the phone with Tommy's family. They went to see him today. His kids went to see him today. Look, it's not fantastic. He was upbeat, although that might have just been for his kids, not to see their dad in a dire situation, but he is losing a lot of weight because he is effectively in solitary at the moment. He's losing weight because he's not really eating or drinking down there. He is also not allowed to buy razors, so his family tell me he's got a pretty serious beard going on at the moment too. I've just sent him. I got off the phone and I was going to do this first, but actually I wanted to send him a message. So I've just sent him 3 emails. One just because it's all he has to do really. So, and by the way, this is an action point for you guys. Send him emails. There's a service called Email a Prisoner, and his prisoner number is on the letter that he sent from Hull prison. It's on the top right of that, so you can get the prisoner number. You can send him, I think it costs 40 pence to send him an email, but that's basically all he has to do at the moment is to read emails, and he loves it. And so I sent him 3 emails, 4 pages, one updating him on the World Cup, one updating him on what we're doing for him on the outside, and the other one with a Philip Larkin poem that I thought he might find some comfort in, or some camaraderie with. So that was the latest. There is an ongoing legal case. I believe this week he will finally manage to sit down with his new legal team and hash out exactly what they want to do. But there are 3 things, and I can't go into detail because that's up for that's up to the lawyers whether or not they want to release that information. But I won't go into specific detail. But there are 3 specific things that they are doing in appeal, and I think at least 2 of them have a very, very significant chance of success. And one of them is making a point that needs to be made. So that's the broad update. He is also limited to spending £10 a week at the moment in prison. So usually I think you could spend up to 50, and people can send you money, and you can spend up to 50. They're not letting him do that, you know, buying paper and pens and food and, you know, all that sort of thing. Severely restricting his rights. That's why I keep saying that this is a human rights case. You cannot have somebody, especially on something like contempt of court, in solitary, in one of the worst prisons in the country, one of the worst category C prisons in the country, and even though he's a category D prisoner, so they're breaking their own rules already by that measure, and not allow him basic provisions, toiletries, razors for shaving, that kind of thing. So this is, for me, a human rights case, and there will be people out there who say, you know, who try and sort of laugh about that and what have you. They think, oh, it's, you know, 2018 in the United Kingdom, something like that could never happen. But actually what this has done is it's opened my eyes up to how much abuse is potentially going on in prisons as a whole as well, because there are other cases in that very prison in HMP Onley, where people are being held in solitary for periods of time that I believe are not allowed. So we're going to be looking into that more and more, and you know, for anybody in the Ministry of Justice or at the prison watching this, you know, we're looking into it. So, you know, you're not going to get away with it for long. With that, I want to start scrolling through your questions, seeing what you have to say, any comments, anything like that. I will, after this live stream, I will put a link to the email a prisoner thing along with his prison and number, so you can email him yourself. Obviously, you know, I've updated him on things from the outside, the rallies, the news coverage, all of that sort of thing, the World Cup, anything to keep his spirits up, anything to talk about, you know, the solidarity that you might have with him, would be very, very helpful for him. And I recognise that at the same time there will be some left-wing trolls out there who use that as an opportunity to send him abuse. Shame on you. I don't think it will particularly matter as long as his friends are sending him messages of love and support as well. So with that, I'm going to scroll right back up through these and start answering questions. I think the first comment here was the next rally. Well, we are already in you know, well along in the planning stages about it. July the 14th, somewhere in central London. We're working with the police to find a suitable location. I have a suspicion that they may not want us to do it on Whitehall again because of the last time altercations that were in some cases provoked by the police, but I think we have to hold our hands up and say in some cases just morons on our side being moronic, and it didn't help anyone. It doesn't help anything, because now we're having to find a new venue for the next one. I'm thinking outside the BBC perhaps, but we have to, you know, we're working on the logistical side of that at the moment. The good thing is I've had messages from, again, all over the world, members of Parliament from all over Europe, members of Congress from here in the United States who want to come along, who want to speak, who want to stand in solidarity with Tommy and with all of you guys. So, you know, we are well along the planning stages. The event will be shared more and more as we lock in further details, speakers, times, locations, buses, so on and so forth. But again, we are just a few, very, very few people doing this, so bear with us. If you don't hear from us for a day or 36 hours or whatever it is, it doesn't mean we've stopped and we're not doing anything. It more than likely means we're knuckled down trying to get stuff done and locked in. And these things aren't cheap either, so finding you know, money and everything like that is the foremost of our concerns, because we don't want to be taking money out of Tommy's appeal fund, which I know so many of you are contributing to. So we're finding that elsewhere and doing that in different ways. So David Russell says, glad to see you doing a feed finally. Yeah, well, I would have done one sooner. I've just been very busy. John Swales, love to buy you a pint, mate. I wish I had a pint right now. In fact, that I think is what I'm going to try and do after this live stream. Yes, people say please write to him. I agree. Rhonda Kane in solidarity from Canada. It's amazing the amount of people from all over the world who can do this as well. You can go onto the Email a Prisoner UK website and send messages from all over the world. Again, it's 40 pence, which is, oh God, I'm terrible at this. I don't know, like 60 cents American, maybe 70 cents Canadian. I don't know, but it's not much to send him, and you can send him a pretty long email actually. Ray McKeating says, is Tommy's legal team working on appeal? The answer is yes. If you missed it, scroll back through and you'll see where I talk about that. Sharon Goddard asks, who is speaking at the next march, Raheem? Well, again, we're putting those plans together. I don't want to announce anything just yet until it's locked down and flights are booked and the venue's booked and everything like that, because I have a suspicion that they will try their very hardest, and by they I mean the police and the political establishment try their hardest to scupper the next one, given how large the last one was, especially in comparison to Labour Live. And for those of you that don't know what Labour Live is, well, I'm not surprised, but go on Twitter or Facebook and type in Labour Live and see the actual hilarity that was Jeremy Corbyn's attempt to rally his troops yesterday in the UK. So I'm just going to keep going through here. Susan Price Hardy says, outside the BBC, perfect. Martin Morris says, get Katie to speak, please. I'm assuming you mean Katie Hopkins. Martin, if that's who you mean. I'm well up for that. I think any voices at this point, any big voices who can spread this message is good. And Katie's been on Fox News repeatedly talking about this case, so credit to her there. I know she's not everyone's cup of tea, she isn't always my cup of tea, but she's a cup of tea. And sometimes a cup of tea is better than your particular cup of tea. Kate English Foster says, what's the email, Raheem? The email is not an email, the email is a website where you go on and you fill a form and you have to subscribe, well not subscribe, you have to register with the website. It's a very quick process, very painless. I did it in 2 minutes the other night. And then all you need is his name, and his name is the prisoner name, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, and his number, which I will put on, and it's already on his Facebook page because he sent a letter from HMP Hull, but I'll also put that on my Facebook page, and then you need the prison, which is HMP Onley, and you can select that from a drop-down list. Let's keep going. Ryan Waters says, when and how are we going to unite the right, Raheem? The time is now. Well, I quite agree, but there are people and personalities that are in the way of that, and one step at a time, I think. Very nice comments from you guys. I'm not going to read out all of the nice things you're saying about me, because that's usually what these live streams are about, but not what this one is about. But if you can, hit the share button on this video, hit the likes, the loves, all of those sorts of things. It all helps to getting the video more views. And then once this live stream finishes, I don't intend to go particularly long, but once this live stream finishes, if you wouldn't mind sending it around to your friends, sharing it on your pages, and sending it to other pages to share as well. These are the updates that we're sharing for you today. I realised it had been about 24 hours since the last update, so I jumped on the phone with his family and got some information for you guys. And I have to say this: they are very grateful for everything that you guys are doing. They're not, they're not frontline types. They're not people who like their faces in the spotlight. So I'm not surprised that they're not sort of doing this themselves. But they wanted to share their gratitude and that's my laptop, and just also that he needs letters, he needs something to do, and that's the emails and the letters are about all he has to do at the moment. Heather Gray says, news on the appeal. I realise some people are joining late. The news on the appeal is as follows. He has a meeting with his new legal team later on this week, I believe, finally, and there are 3 strands to the appeal that are going on. I can't really say more than that, and I don't think it's appropriate for me to share more than that, because they're the ones doing this work, and it's up to them whether they put that out in the public domain. But what I will say is that there is a good chance of at least 2 out of 3 of the things they're working on yielding and bearing fruit. And of course, I'm here in the United States at the moment, and we've been putting a lot of pressure on from this side, political pressure and diplomatic pressure from this side. And again, I can't go into specific details of that, because it's up to the people who are involved in those meetings to disclose that information, but I know that the meetings have been going on, and I know the representations have been happening, and there's a lot more to do. I wish I was 10 people. I wish I had a war room full of 10 people here, because this is effectively a campaign, and throughout any campaign, whether it was UKIP in 2015 or Trump or Brexit, you have a staff, a team full of people who are all doing different things. And one of the things that I really want to do is get more stories into the foreign press about this, because they seem to be the most receptive. The British press are obviously locked down and hunkered down with the establishment on this. But I intend to spend the next few days pushing articles into the US press, briefing journalists about this, making sure it's getting the right coverage here as well. I'm going to keep scrolling through your comments here. If you nice slippers, says Simon Ricketts. Yeah, if anybody wants to buy me some slippers, these are knackered. Somebody suggested Tower Bridge for our next rally. Vaughan Simon says Paul Joseph Watson to speak. I don't think that Paul does public stuff. I mean, apart from his public YouTube page, but I don't think he does in-person stuff. I will ask him. Michaela Maria Phillips asks, same prison number as Hull? I believe so. I will double check it, and I'll post it to my page just to make sure. Let's see. Sean Lloyd asks, what's Donald's view on this? I assume you're speaking about Trump. Well, at the beginning of the campaign, you'll probably remember Donald Trump Jr. tweeted about it, and there's a lot of people tweeting this into Donald Trump's newsfeed, and I think, I don't have confirmation of this, but I think actually raising it with him in person too. We're working on that. We are, Congressman Paul Gosar from Arizona issued a statement on the congressional record, sent another letter on, and then also tweeted at Trump about it, and I think he will have noticed that, because Gosar's one of his sort of biggest stalwarts. So I would imagine that he's aware of it. What does he think of it, to answer your question? I'm not sure. Zeus Hercules, and if that is your real name, kudos to your parents. Zeus Hercules asks, is Tommy safe in the new prison? Well, he's safe in the sense that he's in solitary at the moment, and so while Onley as a prison has a 30% Muslim population, they're not near him or with him. But I don't believe that somebody should have to serve out a 13-month sentence in solitary. Firstly, it's not allowed. Unless they just keep dotting him around the prisons and sticking him in solitary in different prisons all the time. Secondly, he should be able to serve like a normal prisoner for the time being while his appeal is going on. He should have access to the things that everyone has access to, the basic rights that we understand that the prison service offers, and basic rights that, frankly, whether the prison service offers it or not, should be, should be the rights of every person anyway. The right to speak to your lawyers, the right to basic hygiene and living standards, the right not to have to serve 23 and a half hours a day in solitary confinement. Safe, yes. Comfortable in being treated like a normal human being and a normal prisoner, no. Let's keep going here. Chris Manic Monday says demonstration outside Buckingham Palace. I mean, that would be wonderful, but I doubt they'd let us do that. Especially because the last time we were outside Downing Street, or one of the last times we were outside Downing Street, people tried to climb the gates, and so there will be security concerns like that, which is why which is why that wasn't a good idea, which is why when I was standing on that stage I said to people, back off. I understand that the police are trying to provoke people, that's, you know, shocker, right? But we should know that and we should behave accordingly. Let's keep going. Lots of people now suggesting Buckingham Palace. Some people are saying outside City Hall, City Khan's office. Well, that would be good in terms of a symbolic gesture. Of course, his imprisonment and where he is has nothing to do with City Khan, so you know it might attract some cynicism or ridicule. Lee McCormack, what is Tommy's legal team doing about it? I've mentioned that twice. If you're just joining, you can rewind and watch it back afterwards. Zeus Hercules says his dog's name is Zeus and his horse's name is Hercules. All right. Oh, and Belinda Lives, he says that too. So there are 2 Zeus and Hercules dogs out there. Brian Cooley, a new political party needs funding and setting up. It will also need votes, solid votes from everyone. Oust these treacherous stooges. I mean, it keeps happening, doesn't it? You Full Britain and the Democrats and Veterans Party and all these things. I'm not sure that's the solution right now. I think the solution would be more like, well, I don't know. Look, I'm just thinking. I'm just sort of talking off the top of my head here. I think we need to take over and make great again an existing party, and whether that's UKIP or even the Conservative Party, we have to give some serious thought to that. But it can't be done, you know, on a Facebook live stream. It can't be done with just a couple of hundred people. It has to be tens of thousands of people, like Momentum did with the Labour Party. Let's keep going. Kevin Blackburn says smoking is bad for your health. Yep. You won't catch me saying it's good for my health. John Melling asks, what's your views on Nigel's comments regarding Tommy? It's a good question, and it's one that I haven't weighed in on, because obviously Tommy's a good friend of mine and Nigel's a good friend of mine, and they differ on this. Nigel's perspective is that the state was just looking for a reason to persecute, another reason to persecute Tommy, and Tommy played into their hands, and for that reason it's silly. That he was silly to do what he did. I think there are a lot of people out there that feel similarly. At the same time, what Tommy was doing is exercising what should be a basic right, which is free speech. He checked when he was outside the court whether it was okay to be doing what he was doing. He was told yes, that it is okay to be doing what he's doing. And I've spoken to Nigel about this, and he knows my opinion, and he knows my opinion on his opinion. And we're not going to fall out over it. I'm trying to get him to see that it's not necessarily just about that one case. This is about a broader issue. This is obviously about grooming and rape gangs, but this is also about these antediluvian court reporting restrictions that we have that are selectively imposed by activist judges. And I think he does have some sympathy that way. I will be seeing him next week and talking to him again, and I can't promise the world. He's his own man and will make up his own mind about these things. But again, and I know I sound like a broken record here, it doesn't help when people like Nigel, who are trying to deliver on Brexit and trying to help push the government in that direction, it doesn't help when we have scuffles and violence and traffic cones being thrown at police horses and things like that. And again, I will caveat that by saying I know that the police have provoked a lot of it. There are lots of pictures and videos that are out there that show that the violence was not started by people on our side, but at the same time, it is up to us, if we are demonstrating, if we are responsible, and we're standing there in the middle of Whitehall, once that demonstration is over, to disperse peacefully. That is our responsibility. Whether it's going to a pub and leaving the area or whatever, I mean, not obviously 15,000 people going to one pub, although I'm sure the Westminster Arms would be happy for the business, dispersing, because we were there and we made our point, and I think we made it really strongly and well, and there were so many videos and pictures of such a great event and protest, and people who had come from all over the world, like Geert Wilders and Philip de Winter, and messages from Louis Alliot at the Front National, and all of this, and then it was marred, and of course, the media will use that as an opportunity to mar the protest with a couple of pictures of people on our side either being silly or drunk or being provoked into violence, even if that violence is in self-defense. So again, for the next time we do this, I implore you, and implore everyone out there. This is firstly a family occasion. We want ordinary people to be there. We want people to feel safe. We don't want them to feel like they're going to be kettled or tear gassed or whatever the police want to do to provoke us. We don't want them feeling like that. We want them out there on the streets with us. I've said multiple times now, we don't need people in spirit. We need people in person. And if people see images like that as they're pushed upon them by the mainstream media, then they're not going to turn out. And we need them to turn out. And they want to turn out. They are on our side. They do stand shoulder to shoulder with us. So we have to give them every single possible reason to do that, to be with us. So I hope you don't take that as a criticism. It's criticism, but it's a constructive criticism. Let's keep going here. Lots of people saying the same things, of course, I'm trying not to get repetitive, because I know it's. Oh, well, what time is it there? Is it 7? Something like that? 7 in the United Kingdom. Stephen Kill says, booze ban at demo wouldn't go amiss, Raheem. Well, no, I don't think that's right. I mean, to be quite honest with you, the Day for Freedom and ahead of the last rally, I was 5 or 6 pints in. It's about controlling yourself. All right, fine. If you know that after, a couple of cans or a couple of pints that you are likely to get Larry, then maybe cut yourself off at 1 or 2. It's about personal responsibility. I'm not going to impose on anyone, hey, don't come along with a couple of cans of lager. It's your freedom and your right to do so. But, in moderation. And it's hot out there. People are thirsty and they need to remain hydrated. So no, I don't think a booze ban, but certainly to say don't let the day's events get the better of you. And obviously alcohol is reduces your inhibitions like that. And I was 5 or 6 in at the last one. It doesn't particularly matter to me. Let's see what else we've got going on here. Outside the BBC, Ollie Bloom says Raheem go for mayor. That would be something I'd be working on now if I wasn't working on this full time. I think this is more important in the immediate future. Angela Baker recommends Supreme Court of Justice and other demos at smaller courts around the country. Jerry Dockery asks, why was Tommy advised to plead guilty? I don't have specific information on that because he was given a solicitor for that hearing when he was held in contempt. He didn't have his own lawyers, and I would imagine, and at least every legal mind that I've spoken to, whether it's been lawyers or barristers over the last couple of weeks, has said to me, well, people are advised to plead guilty so they get leniency from the judges. Now, obviously, he didn't get leniency, so I think that's where it went. I think that's it. We're getting repetitive here, so I'm just going to repeat what I started at the beginning of this. I just got off the phone with Tommy's family. They went to see him today. His children saw him today. He was upbeat, or at least he wasn't as downbeat as they thought he would be. But he was not in a good way physically. He's losing a lot of weight because he's not really eating or drinking. He's in solitary, 23.5 hours a day by himself in a cell with nothing but a blue mat on the floor. The only thing that is keeping him going and keeping him sane at the moment is emails from people. There is a website service called Email a Prisoner. Just type into Google or whatever search engine you use, Email a Prisoner UK. It'll come up. You can register. You just use his name, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, his legal name, his prisoner number, which is on the letter that he sent out, which is on his Facebook page on the top right of the letter that he sent out from Hull, and I'll post it onto my page. And also his the prison that he's in, which is HMP Onley. So you use those details, and then you can write him whatever you want. It costs 40 pence to send him a pretty long email. So I hope you will all do that and send him your messages of support. It really. I mean, he asked his family to convey that it's the only thing that he's got at the moment. So that's something that immediately you guys can do. There'll be a website launching later on in the week where you can sort of one-click email the Justice Minister, the Prime Minister, the White House, and all sorts of other people that are involved in this case. And we just want to flood the zone with messages to them talking about the effective lack of human rights that he's being offered in his situation in prison at the moment. And for any skeptics out there, you know, I'm always around. I'm here. I'm on my Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm going to do these live streams. I'm more than happy to debate with you. You can see I'm not some sort of frothing at the mouth conspiracy type. I'm happy to convert you over to the Free Tommy cause. So with that in mind, the next demo is going to be on the 14th of July. We're still working over the details on that, speakers, locations, venues. Stay tuned to all of that. If you can, obviously give money to his appeal fund. You can do it in two ways, one via his website, tommyrobinson.online, or via the Rebel Media. And Ezra Levant and the Rebel is obviously handling the Rebel side of things with Tommy and his family's blessing, and his direct team and family are handling the other side of things. I'm just facilitating, I'm passing messages across, I'm meeting with people here on Capitol Hill later on this week in Europe as well. And we're just all guns blazing, so to speak, on the Free Tommy case. So I thank you for joining me here for this short live stream, and you know, keep your peckers up. And if you don't have a pecker, keep someone else's pecker up. Cheers.